Hello, welcome to episode 61 of Fluffy Fibres, the French podcast in English on sewing, knitting and spinning a handmade wardrobe from head to toe. Hello friends, I do hope you're all doing really well after this break, this unexpected and unplanned break that I had to take for various reasons from the podcast. I'm very happy to be back today though, on this very sunny, finally sunny day of so today is June the 12th, 2018, and I am talking to you as ever from Montpellier in Languedoc, southern France. My name is Isabelle, and you can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Fluffy Fibres, and you will find the show notes for the podcast at fluffyfibres.com. So yes, it's been a while. There's a variety of reasons for it, which I will not necessarily enter into. I'm sure if you follow me on Instagram, you will be aware of why. But yeah, it's been rather a tough spring for me, really. So yes, I really don't want to sadden anyone, and you're not here for that. So I tend to be more personal on Instagram, really. So yes, but yeah, it's been a really difficult few weeks or even few months, but here I am today, really excited to be here, so yeah, so today's episode is going to be all about the knitting, because since I've been away for a while I do have quite a lot to share, and in that case, in those instances, I do like to split my content into a knitting episode and a sewing episode. So this episode is going to be all about the knitting that I've been engaging in since we last spoke, which I believe was in April. And so yes, so today's episode will include my cup of tea, some events, and then all my knitting and my future projects, and I'm also going to share a bit of really lovely mail that I've received over the past few months. So first of all, for my cup of tea today, I just brewed myself a cup of an English tea shop infusion. I do like the English tea shop teas, and especially their infusions. So this one is Cranberry Vanilla Delight. It's organic. And it's a blend of hibiscus, so the base is hibiscus and rooibos. And then you have rosehip, vanilla, cranberry, obviously raspberry, and also a bit of cocoa in there, I think. And it does make for a very rounded drink, you know, with the topness of the hibiscus and cranberry and raspberry, but then it's all rounded up by the vanilla and cocoa, so it's quite lovely. I really do like this one. And it's special for me as well because it's my nephew's favourite, my oldest nephew, who is 11 years old, loves this kind of thing, and I gave some to them over Christmas and they loved it, so then I sent over another box for them to enjoy, especially him. I know he loves it. And the teacup, of course, my tea mug, is extremely special because it was made by Dani of Little Bobbins, and I chose to use this one today because Dani recently shared some really wonderful news, and I just wanted to let her know that I had been thinking of her so very much lately. So yes, so Dani, thank you again so much for this beautiful cup, and congratulations to you. So yes, this is so lovely. So I do hope today's video is going to be okay, by the way, because I just upgraded my camera. So I hope it'll work all really fine. I'm very excited about this new camera. I resold my previous one to get this one, so it wasn't that much of an investment in the end, but I'm very excited. I do love taking pictures with this one, so I hope it really works well for video as well. So I'm not going to do a handmade wardrobe today because I'm going to share what I'm wearing in my finished projects later on, but I did want to share a couple of events that have been going on. First of all, we did have a YouTube giveaway, and I really didn't plan on it going for so long, but that's completely fine, and that's life, isn't it? But yeah, we did have a YouTube giveaway for the because I was very, very fortunate to reach over 5,000 subscribers on YouTube, and I'm very, very grateful to all of you who watch and tell me how much you enjoy the podcast, and those of you who comment on YouTube as well, or on Instagram, or on Ravelry. And those of you, of course, who comment in Ravelry as well. That is always so lovely when you participate in the group in Ravelry, even though I haven't been the best group hostess lately, sadly, but again, I'm not going to beat myself up about this, because yes, there is just only so much I can achieve, you know, and but I was very excited about this giveaway. We had such lovely prizes for this. So I did make a prize of a little pouch that I sewed myself with some French goodies in there, and you know, natural things in there, lovely goodies. And then the grand prize was a set of minis in pinks and reds that was very graciously donated by my good friend Erin, who is Mama to Abigail on Instagram, and she has the Holland Handmade Co. Etsy shop. I'm not sure how Etsy shop is going to continue, at least not as such, because Erin is in the process of moving, and moving states, so that's a huge undertaking. So hopefully her yarn will be coming back at a later date, because she does dye beautifully. But yes, at the moment she's probably taking a break from her Etsy shop, but I was so grateful for her to have given this beautiful set of minis for the podcast. So I will be putting the name of the winner on the screen now, so do look up if you're knitting or sewing or engaging in any other activity, so that you can see if you've won. And if you've won, please do contact me. Please do, I think the easiest way, well, either message me on Ravelry or message me on Instagram, DM me on Instagram, whichever way is best for you, really, is easiest for you. But do please get in contact, because I don't think I do have a means of getting in contact with you from YouTube. So yes, very, very exciting giveaway, and thank you so much to everyone who participated. There were a lot of entries, and that was really thrilling for me, and you said so many lovely and kind and supportive things, and yeah, it was really very, very wonderful for me to read through them, and to see how much you enjoy the podcast. I also wanted to share in this section an initiative that has been going on in the French knitting community, and that has been absolutely wonderful. And so it is called Les Chevaux Solidaires in French, which translates into the supportive skein. And so far it's mostly been going on in French, but the organisers of this are going to, and they are currently in the process of making everything bilingual, French and English. And so what's been going on is that so the organisers, who are parents of a little girl who is named Gaia, have had to face huge challenges, because their daughter, their little girl, has an orphan disease, and it leads to a lot of problems for her and complications. And one of the related conditions that she has is fibrous dysplasia. And so you can read all about this, and I will link to everything in the show notes. And so it is for this specific illness, so not the whole orphan disease that she has, but this specific part of her disease, that they are raising funds, because they realise that this particular illness is more widespread in the world than this orphan disease, which has very, very few cases in the world. And it is curable. It could be curable if there was, if the research was funded for it. And there is someone who is currently researching for it in Italy. And so the aim, it's a very hands-on concrete way in which you can actually help directly towards, you know, this illness and easing the life of these people with this illness. So not just this little Gaia, but all the people around the world. And so they've set up a charity, and they have asked for various designers and yarn dyers to participate. They have also been selling lovely mugs and postcards and project bags with some beautiful art that was created also by supporters of this charity. So every month there is a new designer who offers a design for sale on Ravelry, and all the proceeds go to this charity. And likewise, yarn dyers, so far it's been French yarn dyers. They've been offering a specific colourway, and if you purchase this specific colourway, all the benefits go to this charity as well. And it's gained such an incredible momentum, I would say since the beginning of 2018, and it's absolutely wonderful to see this and to see the whole French community gathering and bonding over this. And the mama of Gaia, she's we've been in contact, and because she saw I was, you know, when the last design came out, I advertised it in my stories in English, hoping that it would reach another audience, a wider audience of English people, of English-speaking people rather, who may not know about this because it was a French endeavour. And so we've been. She reached out to me after that. I also advertised the sale, the pop-up sale that they had of the goodies that I mentioned. And so yes, so I was very willing to speak about it on the podcast today, and I will definitely be broadcasting again on my stories on Instagram. Later developments, the new designs, and so on and so forth. I have been remiss in featuring the June design because I've been really unwell this past couple of weeks, but I will definitely be sharing a story. It's a lovely little girl's cardigan. It's absolutely delightful, very feminine. Yet last month's design was a gorgeous sweater, fingering weight sweater with some lace, a lace panel here in a triangle, by one of my favourite French designers, who is Marmelade, Marie-Amélie Designs. She is a very prolific, creative and amazing French designer. All her designs are translated in English as well. Her weight of choice is fingering weight. She also has other, a couple of DK or worsted weight sweaters in her library, in her in her design page on Ravelry. Take a look, because she has an incredible taste, and I think everything she does is very feminine and delicate and lovely. But do consider participating, because it's a wonderful cause, and it is actually being directly helpful not only to this little girl, but to many people throughout the world, if we happen to participate in funding this research. So yes, I will definitely be mentioning this in later podcasts as well, because and her her parents have gone through so very much, and you cannot help but feel supportive of them and empathise with them, really. So yes, that is it for events. Now for my knitting, in terms of my finished projects, I have a couple of them. So I'm going to first speak about, as my very good friend Kristin of Voulenvine and the Yarngasm podcast would say, the elephant in the room, in this case the blue elephant in the room. Of course, Kristin's elephants in the room tend to be mauve, mine rather tend to be blue. So here it is. So it is the Tecna sweater by Caitlin Hunter, the incredibly talented Caitlin Hunter, who is Boylan Knitwork on Instagram and Ravelry, and it's her handle on Ravelry, her designer name, I think. So she is very well known, of course. She's designed so many super popular designs over the past year or so. The Censored Highway, the Zwike sweater, which I do really want to knit as well. A lot of colour work yoke sweaters, But my favourite design of all of her designs is the Tecna sweater. And so it is extra special because the pattern was gifted to me by Christine over Christmas, and so it's always very special when you need a pattern that a friend gave you, isn't it? I knitted out of Blacker Yarns Lyonesse, which is a blend of linen and Corriedale, and I absolutely love this yarn. And the funny thing is, so I got this yarn at the Edinburgh Yarn Festival in March. And the funny thing is, I had a very, definite list of things that I wanted to get from the Blacker booth. And I had never been drawn to that Lyonesse yarn because I felt, well, either I need a wool sweater or I need a linen sweater. So why blend the two? In southern France, I mean, of course, not in England. I can completely see the use of this in England. But then, when I visited the booth in Edinburgh, which was such an absolute delight to visit, they had so many samples there, of clothes, and I, rifled through them, and I saw this, this blend being knit up in I think it was a pullover, and the drape was so gorgeous, and it's got this, it's just the best of both worlds. It's got a bit of a shine, but then it's matte as well. It's got this beautiful drape. It's absolutely stunning, and so it was really love at first sight for me, and so I decided to get enough yarn to knit the Tecna out of this, and I got one of the shades that they had there, which was the Lapis colorway. If you may recall from earlier podcasts, I actually did mess up with when I was in Edinburgh, and I actually picked the DK instead of the fingering weight, so I returned the yarn and they sent me the fingering weight instead. And as you can see, so it was an absolute joy to knit with. And as you can see, we're in mid-June and I'm still able to wear it rather comfortably, which was a huge shock for me. Granted, we've had a very, very late summer here, so our spring has been really rainy and unusually cool, still quite warm for by British standards, I would say, but it does mean that I've been able to wear this. I couldn't believe how much wear I've gotten out of this since I finished it, so yes, I'm absolutely in love with it. I loved knitting every single stitch of this. The lace panel is an absolute joy to knit. Really don't be intimidated by the lace, because you have some knit four togethers and so on, but once you get the hang of it, I found each row rather intuitive and easy to memorize. So I think after a couple of pattern repeats in one round, I was able to I had the round memorized, the repeat memorized, and I was able to knit without looking at my chart. So yeah, it was a very, very potato chippy kind of lace panel. So yeah, so I originally aimed for about the same length that the pattern had. So as you can see, there is a huge amount of ease, which is rather part of the pattern. And I was reaching for actually a rather shorter length than this, because I wanted to wear this over skirts or dresses. But the linen blend did grow quite a bit when I blocked it, and so now I have this rather actually standard length. As you can see at the back, it is it is rather very standard length, I would say. It definitely reaches mid to lower hip, and at the beginning, at first, I was rather bummed about that, but in fact, I'm so glad it's this length, because, of course, it means I cannot wear this over skirts, because it does look enormous in this case, and it's not flattering at all. But it's perfect over jeans, and it does mean, I think it is more wearable this way than it would have been over a skirt, I think, because it is definitely a transitional weather top, and so it's better with the jeans, I think, than with a summer skirt. So yes, I can't believe how much use how much wear I've gotten out of this already. I reach for it so often. It's an absolute delight to wear, and it doesn't feel like it's rather warm today. It's our first day of sunshine and warmth in quite a few weeks. But I don't feel hot at all. I was a bit concerned because when you podcast you tend to run quite warm. I do it anyway. But I'm not warm at all. I mean, I'm warm, but I'm not unpleasantly so. So yes. As you can see, I omitted the sleeves and I got quite a few questions about this. So first of all, if you want to see all my alterations, I did write rather detailed project notes on my project page on Ravelry. I do tend to do this for pretty much everything I knit. Because I do know how useful it can be, and also for myself, if I ever want to knit this again, then I can go back and check what I did. I did add a few decreases because it was, after the lace, when I started the stockinette portion, I did add a few, I think 3 sets of decreases, because it really was rather huge. And I just felt it would be really too huge at the top for me. And the other alteration that I did really was that I omitted the sleeves, and so many people asked me how I finished the sleeves. I didn't. I just left them as they were. I just was very careful in the way that I wove in the end, but yeah. As you can see, it's just the edging which is rolling inside, and because you do have this feature as well here, that the edging here is rolling to the outside, which is part of the design. I just felt it would work, to have this kind of raw, in a way, and edging. It's not raw because it's actually rolling to the inside. So super easy to do. I mean, basically you do nothing. I did have enough yarn to knit sleeves, but I felt I would get, again, more wear out of this without sleeves. And I really definitely don't regret this. So yes, I think definitely this is my favourite project of 2018 so far in terms of knitting. Both because I enjoyed knitting this so very, very much, but also because I absolutely love the result. And I love this shade. It's very much my blue. Blue is my favourite colour, and this particular shade definitely is my favourite shade of blue, so I absolutely love it. It does, my version anyway, my dye lot anyway, does look a bit paler than the pictures on the Lacquer website anyway, what I can see on my own screen at home, on my monitor, but I absolutely love it. And when I've made a big enough dent in my stash, I'm definitely going to get more linen, more of this Lyonesse blend, because it's an absolute delight, and it's so gorgeous. It knits up so prettily, and all the shades are rather muted and subdued, which I absolutely love. And there's the amethyst colourway, which I think I might be getting next, because it's absolutely lovely. So yes, this is my Tegna. I do, a lot of people told me, oh, I've been wanting to knit this, and I highly encourage you to do so, because it's an absolute joy to knit. And once you're done with the lace, you just have this, these mindless stockinette rounds, and because it's knit bottom up, and because it's actually supposed to be rather short, even though mine is longer, you don't have that much of it. You really don't grow bored. By the time you could grow bored, then you're separating for the armholes and doing all the fun short rows, and yeah, everything in this pattern is so wonderfully detailed. It was my first time using a pattern a design by Caitlin Hunter, and I can tell you everything is thought out so very, very well. From the very beginning, she really holds your hand through every step. So I love the neckline. I think it's the perfect amount. Yeah. So yes, absolutely wonderful design. So my second finished object, or rather objects, are finally my beautiful socks that I cast on over Christmas. It was my Christmas Eve cast on, and they are my Twas the Night Before Christmas socks, which is the first design that Danny published on Ravelry. And yeah, I absolutely loved knitting them. The only reason why it took me so long is that I'm such a garment knitter. And so I'm always more driven to make garments than to make socks. That is all. That is the only reason. But I did very much enjoy making these. So hopefully you can see this well. I have to say, because my yarn is quite variegated, you can't really see the little trees that well on pictures, on video, but in real life you can really see them, and obviously they're not as sharp, as defined as if I used a solid or a tonal yarn, but I do really like them. I do really like this very delicate detail. So yes, and I absolutely love everything about this design, every detail. I loved the heel especially. I really loved. I love a gusset heel, and it's my favourite. But here you have a bit of a twist on it on the regular one, which is really nice. The toes as well, rounded toes, which are my favourite. So all in all, an absolute pleasure to knit. And this is also one of those designs where Danny holds your hand through and through, and it's an absolute joy to knit because you feel safe, everything is so well detailed, and you know how much attention to detail there is in the design. So yes, finally they're done. So now they can go into my drawer of hand knit socks for next fall. The yarn I used is a Homespun House Christmas at Hogwarts, which was a club that Molly did last Christmas. It was just one iteration in the club, but yeah, so I do think it's super pretty. It's what I love about it is that it's not your regular Christmas colours, and I'm not a fan of regular Christmas colours, but here everything is subdued. So you have a very warm tan base, and then some various greens, and then instead of the more usual, more traditional red, you actually have some pink, which I think is really lovely. I'm really pleased, and I really do want to knit. So I'm currently knitting the Cyril socks for Seb, and I didn't really make enough progress to show you, to grant my showing them to you on the podcast this time, but I did get something really special for these socks and for Seb, more generally speaking, which are sock blockers for him, because my sock blockers are perfect for my size. They're absolutely spot on, but Seb didn't have his sock blockers for him, and even though I don't knit many socks, I do still knit socks, and it was a bit frustrating not to have the right size for him, and I do knit as many socks for him as I do for me. So I got those absolutely gorgeous Selbu sock blockers from my friend Patricia, who is P4Chen on Ravelry and Instagram, and I hope you follow her because she's such an amazing, wonderful soul, and I was fortunate enough to meet her in Edinburgh. We've been following one another for years on Instagram, and so she lives in the middle of Norway. She's American, and she is currently fulfilling her dream of having her own farm in Norway. And so one of the ways in which she can manage this is, and she can fund this dream, is that she has been reviving the tradition of Selbu blockers. So this is incredibly meaningful and beautiful. The wood is harvested in the forest, just behind her house, and it is laser cut, and then she lovingly, carefully sands down every single of these, and She polishes them with her own honey butter, so yes, they are absolutely gorgeous, very, very special, and I'm so happy that I treated Seb to this set of blockers, and I'm very, very happy to have been contributing to Patricia's dream in a very small way. But yeah, Patricia has the Knitography podcast on YouTube, and she recently opened a Knitography Instagram account as well, because she's also started to sell some plant dyed yarn with using Norwegian yarn. So that is also super, super special. So yes, so she posts amazing pictures. She's a great photographer as well, and so yes, if you want some a daily dose of inspiration and meditation and soulfulness into your days, I highly recommend you follow her on Instagram. Both her own personal account, B4Chen, and her Knitography account. But yeah, so very excited to be using them soon. And then once I'm done with the cereal socks, I will definitely be casting on the Rita socks by Dani as well, so that Seb and I have our pair of vintage love socks. So yes, that is it for my finished projects. In terms of my current projects, I have a couple. So my first one is currently hosted, but it's really quite full now because it's almost done really, this sweater. It's hosted in my beautiful bag that Kristin so kindly made for me recently, and I absolutely love this bag so very, very much. It's absolutely stunning and perfect, and the colours are so soothing to look at as well. So in here is my All the Love sweater. So this is part of my Make 9 projects, just as this one is as well. So I'm very happy actually about my Make 9 knitting projects, because I completed, I think this is my 4th item, and all of them are sweaters, so not small objects. I finished my black cardigan, my Love's Promise cardigan by Amanita Knits, out of Wensleydale by West Yorkshire Spinners, black Wensleydale. I finished my huge Windfell sweater, which was my first colourwork sweater, out of Blacker Yarns, Cornish tin too, and some Rerum Natura Ulysse as well. And I finished this out of Blacker Yarns as well. So you can see obviously a theme here. All of these yarn are sustainable yarns. So yes, that's very much, that is getting more and more important to me. And so now I'm knitting the All the Love, so my 4th project in my Make 9, and it is the All the Love sweater by Joji Locatelli. And so as you can see, I've made a lot of progress. I don't think I'd cast this on before the last time I podcast. I'm not sure you will be seeing that much because it does need to be blocked, because you have these huge lace panels. But I did finish the body, which is quite long, and again, huge amount of ease. It's very much a boxy, Joji's boxy sweater, but with these lace panels. I did knit one sleeve. I'm currently picking up the neckline for the ribbing at the neckline, and I have a huge problem, which is that I only have this much left, which obviously is not going to be enough for the second sleeve. So I did order an extra. I'm not sure what happens with me at the moment, but I keep running out of yarn. I think my gauge must have loosened up quite a lot, because I never used to get out of yarn. I always used to end up having lots of yarn left over. And at the moment, I keep running out of yarn on my projects. So I did order a ball of yarn, and I was super good, and I only ordered this, which was a bit ridiculous because shipping cost almost as much as the yarn, because this came from the UK. But I really do want to knit from my stash at the moment. So here it is. The problem with this is I'm not sure how much this will show on screen. But the problem with this is it's a much warmer kind of grey. So the yarn is Wensleydale Longwool by the Wensleydale Sheep Shop. And the colour is Mezzle, and I picked this in Edinburgh. And yes, the problem is this is not the same dye lot. And I was thinking, because I did consider this, but I thought, well, it's not a hand-dyed yarn, so probably I'll be okay even if the dye lot is different. Well, no, it's a lot warmer. And even Seb noticed it. And Seb, he doesn't always have the most subtle colour sense. And so even he saw the difference. So that is why this is on hold. It was first on hold because I had run out of yarn, so I was waiting for the yarn. But now I'm thinking what I'm going to do is unravel the bottom of the sweater. Thankfully, it is a top-down sweater. So I'm going to unravel the bottom of the sweater, make it shorter, and make sure I have enough yarn to knit the second sleeve. And I'm sure it'll be fine because it is already quite long, and I'm pretty sure once I'm done it's going to grow quite a bit because it's so there's so much yarn. I'm sure it'll be quite heavy, and so the weight will make it grow quite a bit. So yes, that's a bit of a setback, but it's okay. I'll get back to it when I'm done with my other project. And I know I will get a lot of use out of this next winter. I love this neutral shade, very, very soft shade. I think it goes so well with the design and also with this kind of yarn which has such a lovely halo. You know, the knitting with two strands, you know, of a smoother yarn and then a yarn with a halo such as mohair. It's been all the rage over the past couple of years, I want to say, and I do love the effect. But I think with Wensleydale you kind of get this effect with just the Wensleydale because it does have this wonderful luster because it's a long it's a long fibre. It's got a long staple, but then you do have this beautiful halo as well. So yeah, I do love Wensleydale for this. I absolutely love Wensleydale. I fell in love with it with my cardigan, my black cardigan that I knit at the very beginning of the year. And so yeah, so yes, bit of a setback, but on the other hand, look at how much I've knit on this because it is quite a lot of knitting, isn't it? It's so huge. But I have to say this design is absolutely brilliant. Jorge is such a genius, honestly. I was so confused at first because the construction at the beginning is quite... I mean, I'd never knit anything like that, I don't think. And so I was a bit confused, but she does specify on her pattern at the beginning, you know, even if you're confused, just go with it and you'll be fine. And obviously you are. And so once you realise what you're doing, it is absolutely brilliant. And of course the lace panel is wonderful to keep you interested. It's also super easy to memorise. It's really, really quite potato chippy again. So yeah, I never could see myself knitting, well, I shouldn't say that because who knows. But yeah, I wasn't too into the boxy, you know, knitting the boxy, which, I mean, I would love to have one, but all those rounds of plain stockinette, you know. But this is perfect, you know, if you're afraid of being bored, you know, and it is top down, whereas the regular boxy is bottom up. I do think she came out with she came up with a top down V-neck boxy after that. But yeah, it's a beautiful design, and if you don't know this already, so this was a design that came out around Christmas of last year, Christmas of 2017, and Jorge, all the proceeds from this design go to a school in Argentina, so that is absolutely wonderful. And yeah, Jorge is both a genius and an absolute, you know, a very, very special person, a really, truly good person. So don't you think it also adds to the pleasure of knitting when you knit something from a person that you feel is really, you really appreciate and you really admire. So yes, that is my old love. I don't think I mentioned that the yarn is DK weight. So this is my first current project. My second one is a cardigan for my mother. And I'm hosting this in my beautiful, very, very special bag that I purchased from Erin, who is my good friend, Mama to Abigail, a few years ago now, because she used to sell project bags in her Etsy shop, and she is so brilliant when it comes to pairing prints together and colours together, and I love these shades. And so I have a couple of them. One of them was a gift, and this one I did purchase from her shop, and I absolutely love it. And they're great for sweaties. So, as you will see, so my next episode is going to be all about my sewing. And as you will see, lately I have been all about making for others. It's really what has been driving me, and especially in terms of my sewing. Have been sewing, as you will see, lots of things for little ones, my little ones, but also little ones of friends. And I also decided to do the same for knitting. So last Christmas, when I was at my parents' house, I asked my mum if she wanted me to, I just offered her to knit something for her. And she told me she'd like a cardigan to wear over dresses and in a worsted weight. Well, she obviously didn't say worsted weight, but she showed me cardigans that she had and showed me the kind of thickness that she wanted, and I just concluded she wanted a worsted weight sweater. And so she wanted something, not too long and with a bit of lace, perhaps, rather feminine and delicate. And so I showed her a few designs on Ravelry, and she settled on the Miette cardigan by Andi Satterlund, which I happen to have already knit quite a few years ago. It was the first year I'd started to knit. It was one of the first designs I ever knit, actually. And I think I knit it just before I expected my daughter. So 7 years ago, if you can believe that. Yeah. So, and it's a free design on Ravelry. You have 3 sizes. It's a raglan cardigan. I'm sure you know about this design. And I remember how much I enjoyed knitting it for myself back then. I knit it out of a Rowan organic cotton and wool blend in purple. And so my mother was very specific about the colour. She wanted a pure, true white cardigan. So I had a very hard time finding a pure white wool yarn that would also meet with my requirements, which of course would be that this yarn should be sustainable to some extent. I definitely didn't want to be knitting with acrylic, which was really what I came up, what my searches came up, showed every time, especially within Europe. The yarn that I found that was really white was always with either 100% acrylic or half acrylic at least. And that is really something that I don't want to be purchasing anymore, just as we're doing our best, making efforts at home to reduce our plastic consumption. And of course this goes as well with using acrylic yarn. So I'm not saying this to say I'm a snob about acrylic. I did knit with acrylic in the past, and it does have lots of qualities, but I really want to try and use materials that are as biodegradable as possible, and acrylic obviously isn't. So that's why I really don't want to be purchasing any more plastic. So yes, so in the end I asked her exactly, I mentioned to her that cotton would be easier for me to find, and she said, oh, but cotton is perfect because I want to wear this over summer dresses. And so this time I managed to find some true white cotton. Of course you do still have the problem of cotton being you know, regular cotton uses a lot of water and pesticides and chemicals. And also, of course, pure white involves bleaching. But I still wanted to, you know, to please my mom, so you do have to make compromises. At least it is biodegradable. And so the cotton I settled on is the Drops. Drops Loves You 8. Extremely affordable, and it is really, really lovely actually. It's very lovely to knit with, super soft, it has a beautiful drape, it's very nice to handle, and I think my mother is going to absolutely love this cardigan. And of course it also means it's machine washable, easy to launder, so yes, all this of course is great for my mom. And so, I have to confess actually that now that I'm knitting this, I kind of would like a white cardigan for myself as well. I do have some Wool in the Gang yarn in my stash, and I did start a white cardigan for myself last year, but I just wasn't feeling it, so I never finished it. But I'm thinking maybe I could, you know, unravel it and start over with a Miette for myself as well. I actually feel this yarn is better than the Wool in the Gang. The Wool in the Gang is thicker than this, and it's, I don't know, it does feel warmer to the touch. It's definitely heavier. So I'm actually, you know, this is really, really lovely actually, this Drops Loves You 8. Yeah, I did try to find some organic cotton in worsted to Aran weight. The gauge is 16 stitches per 10 centimeters. So to me, this is a heavy worsted weight to Aran weight, but I couldn't find anything in Europe at that gauge. And so in terms of the sizing, my mom is pretty much the same size as I am. She's taller, so she does have a bit of a stronger build. I definitely take after my father in terms of my very small build. But she didn't want it to be quite as fitted as on the design. The design has 0 positive ease, 0 ease. And so I decided to knit an in-between size between the 34 and the 38. So what I did is I cast on for the 38 size, but then I didn't do all the increases at the yoke, you know, for the raglan increases. I didn't do all of them, so that I ended up with an in-between number. I also cast on a couple more stitches at the underarms, because I remember my cardigan is very fitted at the sleeves and I couldn't see my mum liking this. So I did cast on a few extra stitches at the underarms when I separated for the armholes, and she also requested long sleeves. So yes, it does mean, of course, that my numbers weren't exact for the bottom lace, but what I did simply was that I only had to increase 3 stitches to fall back on the full pattern repeat, so it was very easy to do so evenly within the bottom. So if you can see, so I'm currently knitting the first sleeve. So you can see this lovely detail here. I have the button band to pick up and knit still, and you have this beautiful detail at the bottom as well. My mum is so excited about this. I've been sharing some pictures. We text, my mum and me text many times a day, every single day, and share pictures. You know, I share lots of pictures of my kids, of course. She shares pictures as well of my nephews and nieces that she takes care of a lot. And yeah, so I've been sharing pictures of this for her, and she's very excited about it. She really, really likes the look of this delicate lace and the very true white. So it's great. It really is great. And yes, I do have to confess, I am very tempted to get more of this to make the exact same cardigan for myself. But we'll see. I have loads of other projects in mind. And actually this does lead me to my future projects now. So hair is a complete mess. Sorry about that. So yes, this does lead me to my future projects, and I have tons of them because, well, as usual, I should say, I'm always so very inspired by knitting, and so many beautiful designs come out, and there are such gorgeous yarns as well that are created. And I really don't want to add to my stash too much because I have a gorgeous, I have such lovely yarn and I want to use it. On the other hand, I'm very keen on supporting, either friends that are dyers, hand dyers, or, and especially people who make sustainable, ethical yarn. Also, I'm very eager to support designers, independent designers. So, among my future projects, I'm going to be doing a test knits for another French designer that I really admire, who is Marion Knits, and she is Marion Crivelli on Ravelry. She recently opened a test knit for a future design, which I can't say much about. I can't say anything at all, actually. So what I love as well is that I have until September to knit it, which is a great deadline because it gives you really time. You don't stress about it. So that's great. And another project that I'm going to be knitting is the Cinquilio pullover. So this is an initiative from Anna, who is a Spanish and French shop owner, yarn shop owner in Grenoble. She recently started podcasting in Spanish and in French, and I absolutely love her podcast because she is also very much into sustainable, ethical yarns, and also very much into, supporting meaningful projects, meaningful hand dyers or yarn makers and designers. And she, so a new magazine, a knitting magazine, came out in Spanish, which is called Bellota, which I think is Acorn in English. I love languages. I absolutely love languages, as you probably know if you know me. If you've watched this podcast, obviously I'm French. I love speaking in English. I pretty much think, I probably think more in English over, every day than I think in French. I also, did a lot of German. I did a lot of classical, ancient Greek and Latin, a lot of that, and I absolutely loved it. But I never studied Spanish, and I'm so sad about that because especially now that I live, so I'm from the northernmost part of France, but now I live in southern France and quite near to Spain actually. And I just feel it's a very sad lack to have. But yeah, so this magazine came out, and in the magazine there is this gorgeous sweater design, which is exclusive to the magazine, but Anna has been wanting to tie to bridge the gap, so to speak, between the Spanish and the French knitting communities, and so she is offering a knit-along, and she is translating the pattern for the French participants. So what you had to do was buy the kit from her shop, and so the reason why, first of all, the design is gorgeous, but also the other reason why I loved this is that the yarn used is Mungo by Rosa Pomar, and this is a yarn maker that I have been very keen, very eager to knit yarn from, because she is a Portuguese yarn maker who is engaged in this very ethical process of yarn making, and so it's a gorgeous blend of yarn, and so it's a worsted weight, and so I haven't received the kit yet, but I picked the royal blue, so it's a very vibrant jewel-like sapphire blue shade, and I'm very, very excited to be knitting this, and also to be connecting with Anna and the other participants in the knit-along about this. Lastly, and this actually is going to lead me into my Happy Mail Day, Rerum Natura just issued a new yarn, which is very, very exciting, which is another plant yarn. I think this episode is all about knitting with plant yarns, isn't it? But yeah, so I had been eagerly waiting for this because she announced it, so Solène of Rerum Natura announced this yarn a month ago, and it's a linen yarn, organic DK linen, French linen yarn, which is so exciting. And so I did do a story on Instagram about this. If you go to my profile on Instagram, there are a series of stories that are saved there. For instance, there is the whole Me Made May. The way in which I participated in Me Made May this year was through my stories on Instagram, which I found was a great way to participate because, the stories only stay for 24 hours. I managed to post a picture pretty much every single day. The only days I didn't post was when I really wasn't well enough, but I'm very happy that I did manage. I think stories allow you to me anyway, to post more. I really did snap a quick picture and that was it really, every day. It didn't take time at all, so that was great. But yes, even though I haven't been podcasting in May, I was really present on Instagram, and so you can find all my Me Made May outfits on an archive, which is called Me Made May, on my profile, just over my main pictures, my grid, as you're supposed to say. And also it was super interesting this year because we've had such unusual weather. We've had all sorts of weather, and so it means I was able to, one day I was in hand knit sweaters, and the other day I was in a long sleeved dress, and then I was in a summer dress. So that was really quite fun actually. I really was able to explore a huge range of my wardrobe. But yeah, I also did share an archive, a story on the Antigone yarn. Here it is. I already prepared my project for this, my bag, which I made this particular bag. The yarn is this. So Antigone. So it's organic linen, and it's really, as I was saying in my stories, it's really hard to find organic linen in Europe, rather locally to me. So I was super excited about this, and all the colours in the range are absolutely stunning. It was so hard to pick just one. I also love so they have a couple of shades of pink, a very light, like quartz-like pink, and a deeper one, a corally pink, which is absolutely stunning. Blues, of course, and also more natural shades of grey, and she really has such an amazing colour sense, Solène. So yes, so I did want to have this, to purchase this when it came out, to show how appreciative I was of this endeavour. So I did K-cup one ball because they tend to unravel quite a bit because they're linen, so pure linen. So I did K-cup a ball, and I did swatch already, which swatching with special yarn is such a treat, isn't it? I just love it. I love swatching. So I did do 3 swatches, so they are rather small because I was just feeling my way around the yarn. I think I only have a couple of here, but I did do 3 swatches. And I absolutely love the result, especially actually with the smaller needles. Let me see if I can focus on this. So yes, I absolutely love this. It's so beautiful. So the gauge that I was most happy with is 21 stitches per 10 centimeters. And I did find a top that I really loved, that was recently published by Quince & Co, because they do publish gorgeous patterns for their own yarn. And it is the Lucine top. So I've already purchased it and printed it out. So the Lucine tank by Pam Allen. And so yeah, I'm all set ready to begin this as well. I'm not sure when that will happen because I really do want to start on my test knit to be sure. I'm not going to stress out about it, but we'll see. But I'm super excited about it. And really, this year I've worn so much. All my hand knitted tops have gotten so much wear. You can see this in my Me Made May stories. So I wore this a lot. I wore my Herbarium sweater, which is by Nadia Crétin-Lechaine, which I knit out of a Bergère de France organic linen and cotton blend in a fingering weight last year. Also, another one I wore quite a lot I have been wearing quite a lot is my Summer Haze by Simone Carrate, which weirdly is very underrated on Ravelry. Hasn't got a lot of projects, but is beautiful. Has got a beautiful lace yoke. Very nice to knit as well. So that's why I'm quite motivated to knit myself another spring tee, even though that is definitely not part of my Make 9 projects, but that's completely fine. So, talking of supporting friends and, indie dyers, my friend Ellie, who is now Leaf Yarns on Instagram and on Etsy, recently reopened her Etsy shop, and she dyed some lace weight yarn, and so I purchased this gorgeous yarn from her. So it's a blend of silk and a merino, so no nylon in there, which is great. And so it's 800 meters. I do think it's the same base that I've used in the past from Kristin at Brilliant Vine Yarns. And so it's called Cherry Mint Fizz, and it's this very vibrant and fun, speckled, variegated yarn. Really, really fun. And the reason why I purchased this is that I want to weave this into a scarf. So this leads me actually to my weaving. I did finish my first weaving project, which is this. It's a bit creased, sorry, but it's this scarf, which is quite long. I'm very happy about this, and I absolutely love this. I absolutely love it. So yes, it is quite long. It is very drapey and light, and as you can see, it is really quite, it really is like a shawl, a stole more than a scarf, really, which is exactly what I was hoping for. So as you can see, it is quite, yes, very wide and quite long as well, which is great. It is as long as I am tall, so I think that's a good one, a good size for me, a good length. So the yarn for this that I used for this is a fingering weight yarn by a homespun house, which is Dewdrop, and for the warp, the warp is the homespun house, and the weft is some Lang Yarns alpaca. I think it's called Super Light, which was in a very light lilac. So I still haven't cut out the little ends, and also need to even out the fringes, the fringe. But I really enjoyed making this, and I really love the finished object. And so yes, I've been now looking at yarn in a different way, and so all my crazy, the crazy variegated yarn actually gets quite subdued, because I personally am more of a tonal or solid kind of girl. I really don't necessarily like in-your-face yarns, but this woven, first of all, of course, in the skein it's absolutely gorgeous, but once it's woven, I know it will become highly wearable even for my taste. And I'm going to weave it with this alpaca yarn, which was a gift from my friend Erin several years ago, actually. It's also a lace weight, and I think they will go super well together. So yes, I'm very excited about this. So yes, that is it for everything I wanted to share for this episode. I didn't share my birthday gifts that I did receive, but because they're downstairs. I did receive some really lovely yarn from Erin and my friend Sylvie, Une Vie Toute Simple. I will definitely be sharing them as I use them and knit them. Yeah, they were really special gifts, and really gorgeous yarn as well. So that is it for today, friends. I do hope you enjoyed this episode. I will definitely be filming a sewing episode, maybe even today, we'll see, but I really want to get those 2 episodes out quite next to one another. I do hope you're all doing really, really well. I know the north of Europe has been enjoying unprecedented warm weather, which is of course in keeping with what we've been having. All the warm air has gone to Scandinavia. Honestly, I don't complain. I love cooler weather. I really don't do well in the hot, very hot weather that we have here in summer. But yes, I do hope you're all doing really, really well. Thank you so very, very much for watching. And until next time, I hope your making brings you joy. Bye bye!